Ahoj, čau! Dobrý den, zdravím všechny nadšence českého jazyka. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, I believe that this video will be helpful and enjoyable for you because I am going to talk about grammar and also give you lots and lots of practical examples that you can use in real life. These past couple of weeks we have been having a closer look at verb prefixes, and in this video we will have a look at the prefix od or ode. Last week I talked about do, and this week will be exactly the opposite, od or ode. Just like the preposition od, we also have the vocalized version ode for the prefix. You will see that the vocalized version is not very common, although it's supposed to come to the rescue and break the consonant clusters, but it's not so frequent in this case. You will see. Today I'm also wearing this little pin with a little turtle, and that is to remind you that being slow as a turtle is not always a bad thing. In fact, it's good to move slowly as long as you're moving forward. Pomalu, ale jistě, slowly but surely, is something we say in Czech. So if you feel like you're stuck, you're not advancing when learning Czech, any song you listen to in Czech, any movie you watch in Czech, any text you read in Czech, anything you learn in Czech, including this video for instance, will get you a little bit further. Pomalu, ale jistě. That is my advice for today. Ale teď začneme s naším tématem, ať se někam dostaneme. Jdeme na to. As usual, I separated the functions of this prefix into different categories. When I started preparing for this topic, I thought it's gonna be very easy because od practically just has one function, but it doesn't. Then I realized, there is a lot more. It's funny how you think that you know your language until you realize there is much more to learn about it. So yes, I also learn about my native language through teaching you and my students. Let's have a look at the first category. The first function of the prefix od or ode would be to remove something or getting rid of something. We could maybe help ourselves with this symbol. You get rid of something. The first example, oddělat, is a little informal. It means to remove, not a very specific, not a very proper verb, but we use it a lot when we just want to say something can be removed. For example, you are transporting a piece of furniture in your car and it doesn't fit with the back seats standing upright. So you want to remove them. Musíme oddělat zadní sedačky. We have to remove the back seats. Musíme oddělat zadní sedačky. And again, it's not the most proper verb. You would not write this in a manual. You would probably say odmontovat, which has the same function, but it's more specific. Odmontovat would be like demount. But oddělat is probably what you will hear a lot when you talk to people in Czech. Oddělat. But careful, since I mentioned watching movies, maybe if you're watching more of an action movie, you would see the verb oddělat in a different context. As a slang, oddělat means to kill someone. So I'm gonna be very dramatic here. Mohl by nás oddělat. He could kill us. Mohl by nás oddělat. Also notice how we pronounce this. Oddělat. We write double D here. And that simply happened because we have the verb dělat, which means to make and do, and then we add the prefix od. So that's how we ended up having double D, but we have to pronounce it oddělat, oddělat. And now in a normal pace, oddělat. This would happen if you added od to another verb starting with D. But in fact we have d and j, oddělat, because of the accent here. Oddělat. So it's dj, oddělat. Odstranit. Odstranit is also to remove, but in contrast with oddělat, this means to remove completely. So odstranit could be used in a sense of deleting something. Like, for instance, you have a file on your computer and you click the right mouse button and it will give you the option of eliminate, and it will say odstranit in Czech. Or you somehow ended up having a chewing gum stuck in your jeans and now you want to find out how to remove it. So you would Google it. Jak odstranit žvíkačku z kalhot? How to remove chewing gum from pants. Jak odstranit žvíkačku z kalhot? Or you ask someone, prosím tě, jak odstraním žvíkačku z kalhot? How can I remove a chewing gum from my pants? Odnaučit se is a very interesting verb. I know I say that about every verb, but this one is particularly interesting because it has two prefixes. Remember na? Naučit se means to learn. And odnaučit se is the opposite. It's usually used in a context of a habit. You have a bad habit and then you wanna unlearn it. Odnaučit se. Alena se odnaučila kousat si nehty. Alena unlearned to bite her nails. She broke the habit of biting her nails. Alena se odnaučila kousat si nehty. Also notice how we pronounce it. Odnaučila. Odnaučila. Not nau, but nau. Odnaučila se. And if we take the se away, naučit means teaching. Odnaučit is to unteach, which I think it doesn't work. In English, you cannot say unteach somebody. But this is something that we also use quite often. We want to say that I will teach you how to break this habit. Somebody swears a lot, so we can say, já tě to odnaučím říkat. I will break this habit of yours to say these things. Já tě to odnaučím říkat. Or more generally, já tě to odnaučím. I will unteach you. You can let me know in the comments below how you would translate this into English. Já tě to odnaučím. Odečíst, or the imperfective form odečítat. Odečíst is to subtract or deduct. Remember we had sečíst in one of the videos. Sečíst, to add numbers. And odečíst is the opposite. So when we speak about math, we can say odečítáme, we are subtracting certain numbers. Or another example, odečtu ti 2 body za nesprávnou odpověď. I will deduct 2 points for your incorrect answer. Odečtu ti 2 body za nesprávnou odpověď. By the way, when we speak about math problems, subtraction is called odečítání and odčítání, both of them. We can have the E or we don't have to have it. Odčítání, odečítání is the same. I'm also going to mention the second meaning of this verb. Odečíst also means to read meters, like electrometers or water meters, gas meters. If you live in the Czech Republic, once a year you will get an email or you will see a notice on the door of the building where you live. And they will say, v pátek bude probíhat odečet elektroměrů. Something like that. On a Friday there will be meter reading of electricity, water, etc. Because when we read the meter, we deduct the number that was previously written from the new one. And that will give you your consumption for that particular year. Příští pátek se budou odečítat stavy elektroměrů. Next Friday, electricity reading meters will take place. Or will happen. Or will be read. So that was odečíst or odečítat, the imperfective form. And odmítnout means to refuse. Again, this is the perfective form and this is the imperfective. Odmítat. This was also imperfective and this is perfective. Please keep in mind that when we have verb prefixes, not only od but other verb prefixes, it doesn't mean that the verb is perfective because we often have imperfective verbs with such prefixes. Odmítnout, decline or refuse. Odmítla jsem s ním mluvit. I refuse to talk to him. Odmítla jsem s ním mluvit. So you can have odmítnout, this verb, plus an infinitive to refuse to do something, to decline. And you could also have a direct object, that would be the accusative case. And that would be to decline an offer or refuse somebody. And let me give you an example for odmítat, the imperfective verb. Odmítám s ním mluvit. I'm refusing to speak to him. Odmítám s ním mluvit. The second function of this verb prefix would be more in a sense of a direction. To move away or to put something away Odejít. This verb means to leave on foot. You can clearly see jít. You can see we inserted the E here, odejít. Just like in the other video when we had sejít, to go down, we inserted the E. For instance, z ničeho nic se sebral a odešel. Out of nowhere, he stood up and left. Odešel means that he left on foot. Z ničeho nic se sebral a odešel. Sebral se is a reminder of the prefix se. Literally it means to pick yourself up, but sebrat se is like to stand up and leave. Of course, if that person left in a vehicle, then we could say odjet or even odletět, to fly away. Odvést is to carry away or take someone somewhere. But what we want to say by this is that we drive away that person or that object from the place of the origin. Odvezeš mě domů? Will you take me home? We express the direction away. Can you drive me away from here and take me home? Odvezeš mě domů? If we had n here, n instead of v, it would be to carry away. Odneseš to prosím ven? Will you please carry this out? Will you take this out? And now, I'm gonna repeat myself again. Odskočit is very interesting. Odskočit and odskočit si is indeed very interesting, very typical Czech. This means to pop up, to do something quickly. You could say, odskočím si na nákup. I'm just gonna go quickly do some shopping. I'm gonna pop up to the store. Odskočím si na nákup. And there is one very, very common sentence that you can use when you want to use the bathroom and you don't want to say the word bathroom in Czech. You can be discreet by saying jenom si rychle odskočím. I'm just gonna go use the bathroom real quick, but you are not saying the word bathroom. I again didn't know how to translate this with the same exact function of being discreet. You can help me out again. Jenom si rychle odskočím or já si jenom rychle odskočím. Literally this means I'm just gonna jump myself to the side. Doesn't make any sense. But skočit means to jump. Odskočit is to do this. Jump to the side. Very useful verb. Odskočit si with a si means you're gonna go somewhere really quick and then you're gonna come back. If you need to use the bathroom, you can say odskočím si na toaletu. You can add it there. But in this particular example, you can use it without that word na toaletu. When you say odskočím si, everybody will know you'll be right back and maybe you're gonna go to the bathroom. If you say odskočím si na poštu, then you clearly state I'm gonna go to the post office real quick. And if you use it without si, odskočit, that would literally mean to jump to the side because a car drove by and there was a puddle and you didn't want to get wet. So odskočila jsem. Next one, odeslat. This means to send off. You probably know the verb poslat. Poslat means to send, but it's a little bit more informal than odeslat. Odeslat is more like dispatch. You order something online and then you will get an email. Vaši zásilku odešleme do 2 dnů. We will send off, we will dispatch your shipment within 2 days. Vaši zásilku odešleme do 2 dnů. So for sending email and using a little bit more informal language, we say poslat. Pošlu ti email, I'll send you an email, rather than odešlu ti email. That's too formal. And the last example of this category is also very interesting. Odložit nebo odložit si. Odložit literally means to set aside. Odložit knížku. To put the book aside, put it away. And then we have another meaning, and that would be to postpone something. Raději bych tu schůzku odložila na jindy. I'd rather postpone that meeting for some other time. Raději bych tu schůzku odložila na jindy. Na jindy is also a fun expression. For some other time. So that is odložit plus an object without si. Put something aside to postpone. And then odložit si means that you put something of your own aside. The best is to give you an example in context again. If you go to a doctor's office, they might tell you, tady si můžete odložit. And what they want to say by this is, here you can leave your coat or your scarf, your sweater, whatever you're wearing, so make yourself comfortable. All of this in one sentence. Tady si můžete odložit. And again, it's a little bit difficult to translate it. It's like make yourself comfortable. It just means remove the parts of your clothes that you're not gonna be wearing here inside. If you come in winter with your hat and scarf and gloves, coat, then you can put all of that, put that aside in a specific place. Odložit si na věšák. Put it on a coat hanger. It's very formal. If you have guests at your house, your friends, you would probably say, dej si věci sem, put your things here. But if you need to be more formal, you can simply say, odložte si prosím. Please make yourself comfortable. Odložte si. Our third category is called fulfillment of the obligation. For example, odpracovat means to work to fulfill a certain amount of hours. Každý den si odpracuje svých 8 hodin a jde domů. He or she works his 8 hours every day and goes home. Každý den si odpracuje svých 8 hodin a jde domů. Here we added si because it's emphasis on working on something of your own. These 8 hours, which is your obligation, minimum of 8 hours. So all of these verbs make an emphasis on working in sequence and eventually completing a certain amount or fulfilling your obligation. We often mention this with a number, to complete a certain amount of something. Odučit is another one of those, to teach a certain amount of hours or to teach a certain topic. And again, we make emphasis on being this our obligation. For example, I once read in a newspaper, I'm gonna read this from the computer so you get it word by word. Jeden pedagog odučí v průměru přes 800 hodin. One school teacher teaches an average of over 800 hours per year. Jeden pedagog odučí 800 hodin. Odučí přes 800 hodin. Okay, we can state the amount, we don't have to state it. For example, with the verb odřídit, you can guess what it is related to. Řídit. What is řídit? Řídit means to drive. Odřídit is to finish driving, to fulfill the obligation of driving. What does that even mean? Well, let's have a look at this example. You're driving and your shoulder really hurts. So you ask your co-pilot. Bolí mě rameno. Odřídíš zbytek cesty za mě? My shoulder hurts. Will you drive the rest of the journey for me? You are using odřídíš because it was your obligation, let's say, to drive, but now you can't. So you're asking that person if he or she can take your part and drive for you. We had this expression za mě instead of me, for me. This is the accusative case. And this actually could work with all of these verbs. Somebody can fill in for you. Odpracuješ to za mě. Can you fulfill my obligation? I can't. Can you take the responsibility on you? Jsem nemocná. Odučíš to za mě? I'm ill. Can you teach for me? Can you take the classes for me? And odvolit, I gave you an example last time. Zvolit. Do you remember what that means? Volit is vote. Odvolit is to vote, and you are implying that it was your obligation to vote and now you're done. Odvolit. On the election day, the whole family goes to vote and then they can say proudly, naše rodina už odvolila. Our family already voted. We've all voted. We're done. And this is a bad example, but it works grammatically. Odvolíš to za mě? Can you vote for me? It's impossible, but grammar allows it. This is our last category. The prefix od can also mean that there is a reaction to something. We respond to something in different ways. For example, by speaking, and that would be odpovědět. Simply translate it as answer, reply. If you want an answer from somebody, they're just not talking to you, you can say, no tak mi odpověz. Come on, answer me. No tak mi odpověz. That's an imperative from odpovědět. It could also mean that someone is not replying your emails. Ještě mi nikdo neodpověděl na email. Nobody has answered my email yet. Ještě mi nikdo neodpověděl. Because this is a very common verb, I'm also going to mention the imperfective verb for you. Odpovídat, to be replying. Proč mi neodpovídáš na zprávy? Why aren't you answering my messages? Proč mi neodpovídáš na zprávy? And from that, you probably know the noun odpověď, a reply, odpověď. And by the way, this verb also has two prefixes. The base would be vědět, to know, and povědět is to talk. And when you talk back, that's where you get the meaning of replying. Odepsat. This means to reply by writing. Write back. You can clearly see psát hidden in there, to write. You're busy and you say, odepíšu ti večer. I'll answer in the evening. I'll write back to you in the evening. If you say napíšu ti večer, you simply mean I'll write to you in the evening. But odepíšu means that you will respond by writing. So that would be odepsat plus dative, indirect object. Odepíšu ti, odepíšu šéfovi. I'll reply to my boss. Or simply not saying anything. Odepíšu, I will respond. But, pozor, pozor, if you have odepsat plus the accusative case, odepsat někoho, this would be to write somebody off, to stop counting on them. Imagine you planned a trip with a couple of people and you're waiting for one more person and he's not showing up. So when he finally shows up, you say, už jsme tě málem odepsali. We almost wrote you off. We thought you were not coming. Už jsme tě málem odepsali. And our last verb is odevzdat. Odevzdat also has two prefixes, ode and vz. And the base is dat. Actually, we got rid of the accent here. What is dát? Dát is to give or put something somewhere. Odevzdat means to hand in, to submit. For example, přihlášky. Applications. Přihlášky odevzdejte do konce listopadu. Submit your applications by the end of November. Přihlášky odevzdejte do konce listopadu. Odevzdat can mean to hand in something physically, to turn in the task, and it can also be submitting something online. A to je všechno. Pomalu, ale jistě jsem odučila tohle téma. Slowly but surely I finished teaching. I finished my obligation of teaching this topic. It's not an obligation for me. It's a pleasure to teach you this. Just like with every prefix, I gave you fewer examples, and even so, the video ended up being quite long. But you can also download my worksheet here and get extra practice with exercises and more examples that I didn't mention here. And a quick reminder, last chance to get the video course Čeština na gauči on discount until the 20th of November. You can check out what the course and the textbook is about right here. To je ode mě všechno. Mějte se krásně. Čau, čau.